Hello, this is student feedback. The exercise this week is to take a quote and put it in a paragraph. So here we go. This one is a bit bigger than this. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs, and we've got one quote right at the beginning. But nonetheless, we're going to go through it. So forget the title. This is about objectivity. So, according to Calcutt and Hammond, journalism studied critical introduction. The idea of objectivity in journalism is reliant on truthfulness, neutrality, and emotional detachment. Okay, a few things here. Generally speaking, we don't include the name of the book or paper, and if we do, we put it in italics, not in inverted commas. So, for Calcutt and Hammond, the idea of objectivity in journalism, well, it's not that it's reliant on truthfulness, neutrality and emotional detachment. It's that it includes all those elements within it, so that, for example, objectivity means that there's truthfulness, objectivity means there's neutrality, objectivity is includes emotional detachment. The idea of objectivity includes the elements of truthfulness, neutrality, and emotional attachment. Right? Okay. And then here you put an in-text reference normally, Calcutt and Hammond, and then the year, which I think is 2011, and then the page, whatever that is, say it's 100. That would be an in-text reference. But because we've already mentioned Calcutt and Hammond there, we don't have to repeat it and we don't have to spell it wrong. So, for Calcutt and Hammond, the idea of objectivity in journalism includes elements of truthfulness, includes as three elements, 3 key elements. Which are truthfulness, neutrality, and emotional detachment. So that's better. Now this is our next sentence. Following the code of conduct that every journalist needs to report the truth and give factually accurate information. Okay, this isn't a sentence. This says following this. So if your sentence was following this, that's incomplete, right? Following this, it needs something. Now, if we put the NUJ guidelines, code of conduct, follows this approach. Then NUJ Code of Conduct follows this approach, and stating that every journalist must report the truth and give factually accurate information. Now what you've done here, what I've done here rather, is it says it follows this approach to objectivity. Now we've got a slight problem here. It doesn't mention neutrality, it doesn't mention emotional detachment, so it doesn't quite follow this. So we're going to leave it. It should be rewritten better, but following the code of conduct that every journalist needs to report the truth. It's not really a it's a sort of code of conduct. Yeah, that's fine. These journalists set by the NUJ strive to improve. Okay, so we've got this, which is slightly better. Alright, let's carry on. A good example of neutrality is from the BBC, where they employ a due impartiality, seek. The due impartiality which seeks to keep a fair and balanced approach to what is being reported. Okay, it's going to take a little exception to this. The idea of due impartiality is that it's fair and balanced in regards to the predominant ideas in society. So it's the due impartiality that's due as a result of your election results or due as a reflection of existing public opinion. But it's not due to the ideas. It's not fair and balanced in terms of the ideas. It's fair and balanced in terms of the predominant approaches that exist in society. And so it's not really neutral. It's mainstream. So what they're saying is we will be mainstream. We will be neutral among the mainstream parties. And so it doesn't really fit the idea of objectivity, even though in other parts of what they write they argue that's the case. So is this neutrality? So, and is it a good example? I think what you've got to try and get away is trying to be normative, to say what is right, what is good. Really, you have to be analytical. You have to present what it is and then decide whether it's good towards the end of an essay, not assume that in your writing. So one type of neutrality is from the BBC, which employs the idea of due impartiality. Right, then we have to explain due impartiality, and the reason we have to explain this, sorry, I'm just going to get back my original paragraph. Just pause that for a second. Sorry about that. So one type of neutrality is from the BBC, is used by the BBC. Right, one type of neutrality which is used by the BBC is due impartiality. Now, remember who we're writing for. We are writing for a reader who has got good general knowledge but poor specific knowledge, poor subject matter knowledge. So we have to explain terms like due impartiality, which are very specific. So is that political viewpoints are given representation according to how much they have mainstream political support. That's the idea. So next, so this method of objectivity is a popular and mainstream choice for the public due to not wanting to be upset or influenced by the corporation and having, sorry about that again. One type of neutrality which is used by the CC is the idea. This method of objectivity is a popular and mainstream choice for the public. I'm not sure there's a sense that this is a choice. Maybe the results are popular. This method of objectivity is considered as being successful, and perhaps the public has public support, let's say. Not the best, as it avoids too much controversy, avoids particularly controversial opinions. So this is not wanting to be upset, and avoids taking sides between the main political parties and their approaches. Something like that. Now this is a bit assertive. That's why the perhaps has been there, because I've got no great deal of evidence for that, but we're going to leave that for now. What we'd really want is some sort of academic scholar to say why that is and be able to quote that scholar. Go to the next sentence. Now, a general election features on the BBC where each political party gets equal TV coverage. To give the party support now, the BBC not to influence audience within a certain political choice. I don't think that adds anything really. Of not taking sides, I think that's fine. The particular example of this doesn't work. Right, in one case, following the ideas of due impartiality, the British National Party leader Nick Griffin was invited onto Question Time due to the party receiving support after a good showing in the it wasn't just opinion polls, actually it was in the local elections, I think it was. I'd have to check that. Okay. In one case, following the ideas of due impartiality to the BNP leader Nick Griffin was invited onto Question Time after a good showing in local elections, which meant his party was due representation. Okay, new paragraph, I think. As it happens, when he was invited there, it wasn't really representation, it was more like a ganging up attack really, but anyway. So objectivity needs to be emotionally detached from the journalistic point of view. I'm not sure what that is. Journalistic point of view. They cannot impact the audience through emotion by influencing their feelings to sway or create an opinion. Well, they can. They can, but in the main view of objectivity, they should not. Right? But that's not made clear here. The reporting event or story needs to be dispassionate and neutral and not in the way of facts. And what not in the way of facts? And emotions should not get in the way of facts. A popular event which is which has used an emotional response is Live Aid. The 1985 event used news footage and reports capture Ethiopia and the famine, consequently making the to depict, not capture, Ethiopia and the famine, consequently making the audience feel sympathetic and needing to give aid to the country. The main visual aspect of the subjects, the TV reporting, the TV footage of starving people, Ethiopians, created an attachment to those affected and a greater reaction from the audience. That's true. Okay. Now, I don't really want to cover this here too much. There is the argument that the reporting was not done in a political way of what was happening in Ethiopia at the time, that there was a civil war going on, and instead it was just done on an emotional level. And I think you have to look at this properly. I'm not going to cover it here, but needs to be emotionally attached, and it doesn't need to be. You're not creating a set of rules, you're analysing what the default rules are. Yeah, so you might put classic journalistic concepts, not concepts, understanding the classic journalistic understanding of objectivity means that reporting should be emotionally detached. It's better. News should not attempt to influence the audience through emotive appeals, but rather present an objective viewpoint and allow the audience to make their own decisions, to rationally come to their own decisions. However, following, see here we've got to get the famine first. The news footage of famine in Ethiopia in the early 1980s brought with it a sense of starving, with it harrowing scenes of starving, without there being a serious attempt to place this within a political context, something like that. This led to the Live Aid concert, which seemed to want to go beyond I'm not saying this is perfect at all. It's not. It's just an idea of how you might begin to change it. There has been and then you need a reference. Yeah, you need to go into some detail on that. The one I liked was oh dearism. Oh dearism. The section on the news to the screen wipe. Look that up on YouTube, but then you're going to have to do a bit more thinking about it and maybe go to some serious writers on the subject. There has been a rise and fall in objectivity in journalism. Okay, with mainstream BBC keeping objectivity at its highest. Well, you see, this is an assertion. I'm not sure why or when that happened. Is it keeping it at its highest? Actually, the suggestion is that it isn't. Isn't classical objectivity? The due impartiality is about mainstream, not objective. In a recent poll, the public believed the BBC was the most trusted media outlet. It isn't the public believed. The public does do the trust. The public saw the BBC as the most considered, the BBC to be the most trusted media outlet for news. However, a fall in objectivity has seen Live Aid capture the audience's emotions and use human subjects as emotional accessory. Okay, look up Hume. Whose war is it anyway? I think that's a better example for you to follow, and you may find on the production team for that is me, a certain Mark Beechell. But anyway, this is Hume's book. Thank you.